In this tutorial, I will demonstrate how to utilize the scanning features on the GoTalk Now communication application. I am utilizing a 4-core word communication book, and I will adjust the settings that will allow my students to utilize this book via scanning access. Initially, I will open up the settings and scroll down to the scanning options category. The first option that I will select is scanning device type. Activate the space and enter switch. The next selection is auto scan. When auto scan is turned off, it allows the user to utilize 2 switches to control the scanning feature, which means that one switch would be utilized to move the scanning from one button to another. The second switch would be utilized to activate the switch. For my students, they are only going to be using one switch to activate the symbol. So I am going to turn step scanning off, turn on the ability to auto scan. The next option is start scanning automatically. This means that once a page is open, the scan will immediately start, which takes one less activation for my student to do. So once that page is open, scanning will immediately start, and it will immediately allow that student to utilize a switch for an activation. So I will turn that on. The next option is auto scan speed. If you open that up, you see that there are many different options between a speed of 1 second between symbols up to 12 seconds. So this is something that you are going to determine based on your student and his ability to utilize scan and understand each symbol. Some students require a longer processing time and others require a shorter processing time. For this tutorial, I will set the scan speed to 4 seconds. The next option is auto scan repeat. What this is the number of scan cycles that the auto scanning will do. So perpetually means that the scan will go through a cycle until a symbol is selected. For some students, we may only want to allow the scan to go through the cycle 2 times, and then the page will stop. The scanning on the page will stop. So again, this is going to be determined by your student and their needs. For my student, I'm going to put the scanning cycle as perpetual so that the scan is continuous until the student makes a selection. Grouping. Grouping is something that you may have to consider when you have a larger symbol array. It allows the student to observe each symbol in terms of a group. It allows for quicker access, especially when you're on a larger grid. For this tutorial, I'm only utilizing a 4-symbol grid, so it's not something that needs to be considered. But just so that you're familiar, it allows you to group the symbols by rows, by columns, by quarters by rows, half by rows. So again, as you get into those bigger symbol arrays, you can determine how you want to organize the information for presenting during the scanning process. Swap functionality. This again is referring to that step scanning. So for many of our students, the left switch will be for selection, the right switch will be for movement from one symbol to another. This allows you to swap those functions so that the switches are working in an opposite way. Maybe for your student, the left switch may be what they work best with in terms of moving a symbol to the next symbol, and the right would be their selection. So again, it's based on student preferences. Scan navigation buttons. Again, this is something that you would often see in a bigger symbol array. It allows the student to use the navigation to go from pages in the books, allows them to use their navigation to control that. Not all students will require that. For my student, I'm keeping this off, but it's nice to know that you have that option for more complex communicators that may have the ability to direct the actions in their communication book a little bit more independently. This is a great option for them. The next option is resume from current location. If this is turned off, what that means is that once those symbols are scanned and is selected, the scan behavior will automatically go back to the first button. If this is turned on, the scanning will resume at the last button that was selected. So again, with 4 symbols, it may not be so noticeable, but when you have 6 or 8 or a larger symbol array, your student may want to make a selection and then start their scan from what was selected so that they don't have to go back to the beginning and listen to all their options again. So again, this is based on your communicator's preferences. The last option is attainment switch settings. This is something that is really more specific to the attainment switches and something that you may have to determine based on your student. So now that these selections have been made, I'm going to open up my communication book, the 4 core word book player. And for myself, I am going to utilize the space bar as the switch. So I am going to start my scan.
Hi.
And as you can notice, there is a delay between the auditory scan of each, that 4-second that I selected. I've also set up this board so that there's an auditory cue of a secondary voice. And then when I make the selection, which I'm going to select want, I'm going to utilize my space bar.
Want.
The voice of my student's voice is the secondary voice. If you noticed, after I made that selection of want, started the scan again, went right back to go. So it didn't go back to the beginning. I'll demonstrate that again. So I'm going to make the selection of go this time. We're hearing the auditory cue, go. I make the selection, the voice is in the student's voice, and then the scanning starts again at the next symbol. So I hope that this has given you a better idea of the availability of scanning features that can be utilized within the GoTalk Now communication application. I'm just